Now you listen to this verse, folks, and you tell me if this does not have a familiar ring. It says, have parted whose land, by the way? Yeah, God's land. It's not really the Jews' land. It's God's land. My land, God says. So on November 28th, President Bush says, and I quote, "And one thing I assume both gentlemen is that the United States will be actively engaged in the process, that we will use our power to help you as you come up with the necessary decisions to lay out a Palestinian state that will live side by side in peace with Israel." Okay, you know what? I love George Bush, but dude, the guy needs to read his Bible. Following that conference, meteorologists began to report 2 major disturbances. He's talking about 2 states. Well, guess what? God said, I got 2 things for you. One in the northeast and one in the Pacific Northwest, which was predicted to hit hard. And that they did. In the next 10 days, the United States of America experienced the largest flood in the state of Washington's history. Hurricane force winds up to 127 miles per hour. In Oregon, and I-5 between Seattle and Portland was closed for 5 days. And a massive ice storm hit America's heartland, causing chaos, a travel gridlock, and over 1 million homes and businesses lost their power. The largest ice storm in Oklahoma's history produced the largest power outage in that state's history. President Bush, the very guy who declared we're going to get the Palestinians to take in some of that land, that very same president had to declare major FEMA disasters for Washington, Oregon, Oklahoma, and Kansas. These were 2 separate back-to-back $1 billion disasters, bringing the 2007 total to $4 billion disasters that directly coincided with the United States pressuring Israel to divide her land. How many know we can't keep giving away billions of dollars every year? Somebody's going to wake up and say, you know what? I think maybe we're in trouble. Let me read to you this passage and see what you're going to do with this verse. Zechariah 12:9. It shall come to pass in that day that I will seek to destroy all the nations that come against Jerusalem. Let me ask you, would one of those nations be United States if we come against Jerusalem? All right, let's wrap this up with our final look at what's happened this year. Is everybody with me tonight? You say, well, John, why are you sharing all this for? I'll tell you the reason why. Because if we can't get the church to wake up to this, you can guarantee the world's not going to wake up to it. And it actually sickens me to think how much time believers are spending in front of their television, in front of their movies, in front of their ungodly music and all the rest of the entertainment that's entertaining this out of oblivion. We literally have lost our edge. The churches, as I see, and I've been on the road as an evangelist now for 31 years, I've never seen the church as lame as it is today. It just absolutely blows me away. When there should be such aggressiveness to go after the things of God, we have lost interest. We don't care. I'll tell you what's going to happen, folks. We're watching as our nation dwindles through our fingers. And we're all bragging on how much we got and how pretty it is. I got news for you, brother. We're just months away from total devastation. Our finances are literally teetering. Who knows what's going to happen in the banking system next week? I got news for you. We're in trouble, and we just keep getting ourselves in deeper trouble. Let me wrap this up with this. And I'm just going to give you highlights. I'm not going to go into great, horrendous detail. The first month January the 9th, President Bush made his first travel to the nation of Israel as a president. First time he ever did it. He arrived in Israel on a very significant date. He went there as the President of the United States to divide the nation of Israel. Well, I got news for you. I don't care how great of a president you are. You're in trouble, dude, when you do that. Okay? If you look at the Hebrew calendar for Tuesday and Wednesday, January the 8th and 9th, 2008, sunset to sunset, that's how the Jews do their calendar. Evening and morning was the first day. That's how the Jews from that point on, they do it from sunset to sunset, was a new moon, which is very significant on biblical calendar. The new moon is always, if you read your Bible in the Old Testament, you'll find out a lot of festivals and all the rest. It was the date of Sevet 1, the first day of the 11th month on the Jewish calendar. Now that's very important. This January 9th is the first day of the 11th month on Jewish calendar, and it happened to be a new moon. But look at the biblical significance of it not only being just the first day of a particular month, but what happened on this very same day, the first day of the 11th month, 3,500 years ago. Now think about this for a second. What are the chances of our president showing up in Israel on the very same day of massive proportion of importance 3,500 years ago for Israel, on the first day of the 11th month? You say, well, what is it? Well, let me show it to you. Deuteronomy 1 and verse 3. In the 40th year, the first day of the 11th month. Now remember those 2 points I just showed you there. The 40th year, the first day of the 11th month, Moses spoke to the people of Israel according to all that the Lord had given him and the commandment to them. Listen to what he says. Everyone look up here. See, I have set the land before you. Go in, take possession of the land that the Lord swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, to Jacob, to give to them and to their offsprings after them. It just so happens, this is not only the first day of the 11th month, but it is also the 40th year since Jerusalem was recaptured. Now, I want you to think about this for a second. When you look at the parallels of that verse and how 3,500 years to the day we find Moses warning about the importance of staying in the land, and now we have our president going to take away their land, I got news for you. That's pretty big proportions. But now, think about this. The exact day that President Bush arrives in Israel to divide the eternal city of Jerusalem, a freak tornado slams into Jerusalem, Arkansas, demolishing the small American town named after Israel's capital, and demolished a church called Mount Zion Church. Meteorologists insist it was a freak of nature for any tornado to hit Arkansas during the month of January, not to mention that tornadoes rarely touch down in the morning hours when the air is cooler. But look at what God says about Zion and Jerusalem. Isaiah 62:1. For Zion's sake, I will not hold my peace. And for Jerusalem's sake, I will not rest, until the righteousness thereof go forth as brightness, and the salvation thereof is a lamp that burneth. Seems like God's going to take this pretty serious. Well then, folks, as usual, whenever the Bush administration is actively talking about giving away land of Israel, America starts seeing disrupted periods of judgment. Let me show you an example. The following are the news headlines that followed Olmert's White House visit on Wednesday, June the 4th, just a few months ago. Listen to this.